Hey, this is Muscle Mindset, and I am Cameron Porter. Today's episode, I wanted to get into some pretty cool stuff. So, I want to talk about maximizing your awareness, and I want to talk about doing this through an exercise that I call tracking. I'm not sure if that's what it's called, but I want to kind of jump right in. So, what do I mean by awareness? Simply that you know what's going on. You know what's going on in your mind, in your thoughts, and in your body, and in your emotions. So you just are aware of everything going on. Now, tracking is kind of cool. If you've ever tracked anything in life, you'll know the power behind it. And let me make an example. Let's say you know somebody, or you are someone that is really good at tracking their budget. So they've got everything down to the cent written down, especially what they spend. And if you don't know somebody that does this, or you don't do this yourself, let me tell you what happens. Those people that do that, they have more money. They just have more money, and they know where it is, and that's why. They're aware. They're aware of everything coming in. They're aware of everything going out. And the cool thing is when you track something, it's not just like, yeah, I'm real good at tracking my stuff. I know where everything goes, right? It's not just in your head. You can't rely on just your thoughts to manage everything. So what I'm talking about is tracking on paper or in a spreadsheet. I like to use paper, and I specifically use blue ink. That's for a whole nother reason, but it works well with like doing a spreadsheet as well. The tracking I'm going to talk about is your activities, and this is to create a massive awareness that will help you become way more productive. It'll help you with your mindset as well. So we're going to get into some other videos later about other tracking exercises to produce different outcomes, produce different results, but tracking is powerful. So what I'm talking about today is tracking what you do with your time. Now, this is going to reveal some crazy cool stuff for you. When you write down every single little activity, and I'm getting better at it, I'm going to give you a quick glimpse. I don't want you to know the details of what's on that sheet, but basically that paper shows what I did for every half an hour, basically after getting up this morning. That's a lot of tracking. It's really not that hard to do, though, if you just do it. Just open up a page and map out a few half-hour brackets, and then start out doing it. Just scribble down. I scribbled some things down, like I took care of the kids, got ready, did my gratitude stuff in the morning, and then I noticed on my sheet. It's weird. It's like my brain highlighted naturally. Like looking over the sheet, it highlighted all of these words that just stood out as if I had drawn on them with a highlighter, and they stood out. Like these are things that you're wasting time on. Drinking too much coffee is one of my things. I spend a good kind of a funny amount of time drinking coffee and making coffee and kind of piddling around. It's a funny word. I picked it up from my parents, but I do spend a little bit of time in between where I'm not actually like talking to my wife, masterminding about something productive or a business partner or anything like that, but where I'm just kind of in between activities. Maybe I'm taking a gander at Facebook or something. And I noticed that because of this tracking. And my brain just highlighted it on the paper. And this is why it's so powerful. When you're looking at a paper, you're calling out a whole nother part of your brain. You're not just calling out the conscious part, which only operates like 5% of our lives. We're only in the conscious brain like 5% of the time. 95% of the time our subconscious is running everything. It's producing new cells. It's operating our liver. It's saving us from possible car accidents and saving our toddlers when they fall and you catch them in midair. Done it plenty of times. If you're a father, you know what I'm talking about, or a mother. So I noticed some other things on here. Like I went through and found where I was getting really good use of my time, and I found that it's like my brain automatically noticed that's where I should be putting more energy. If I put more energy on those tasks, and this goes along with a lot of stuff I've studied, and you'll know what I'm talking about, like putting the most of your energy on like 1 to 3 core activities in a day. For me, my core activities all revolve around phone sales and building those things, build my business. And I freelance and do some things with phone sales. So those build my business, and those make up part of my core activities. One of my core activities is meditating, finding time, actually finding that time, making that time to sit down, quiet the mind, and teach myself that I control energy, that I manipulate energy, and where focus goes, energy flows. And so that's one of my core activities. The reason however I discovered that, it came through tracking. And when that was called out into the subconscious attention, it was much easier for me to get to that core activity and do it. It's much easier for me to do the calling that I do because my brain's like, that's your core activity, man. Quit piddling around, right? The subconscious kind of jumped in, and it's helping me out because of tracking. Now, that's after a short amount of time of doing it. Like, I highly recommend doing this. I'm going to get into some other videos where I know there's going to be a few more coming down the pike about tracking for different purposes. Like I mentioned, one of them, tracking to get more money, to have more money show up in your life. And we'll talk about that in one video. Another one, I want to get into tracking, your circle of influence. But I know that's worth an entire video coming soon. But right now, your core activities, you might not even know what they are. I'm not talking about checking your messages. I'm not talking about looking at your emails. I'm not talking about responding to a text. Those are not quite core activities. I want to use an analogy that I learned from someone, and I can't remember exactly what his name is. I'm not the best at remembering all of the reference points, but this person talked about feeding the animals, and it's like the analogy is kind of cool. So let's say you had some chickens and one of them gets killed by a bear. That part's not cool, right? But the other chickens are all scared, so they aren't going to lay eggs for a while. You don't just get rid of the chickens. Those are part of your family. you feed them. So they're not producing eggs that very day, but you still got to feed them. So that's like checking your messages, your emails, feeding the animals activities. Those are not your core tasks. So it's important to knock out your core tasks, get them done, and this tracking activity will help you identify those core tasks that you should be working on, those core activities that you should be working on, and then put your focus on those. And then what's cool is you'll notice you get done with more of those core activities sooner, and quite a big outcome from it, right? And then you have way more time for things that you love to do, like and I love doing all my core activities too, but I mean, like, this will just give you more time, more freedom of your time, and you'll even have more time for feeding the animals, like even more outreach. Like it's actually one of my core activities, though, is outreach. But follow up and responding to people, that's a feeding the animal type activity. And I hope this helps. Really, just try it out for like 3 days. As an action step. Just try this out. Just track half an hour increments what you're doing during your day. If you're at a job and you're going to be there for 8 hours or whatever it is, go ahead and block that time out. There's not a ton of tracking you can do in there. I mean, you can track like what you're thinking about in there. That's a whole nother we're gonna have plenty of videos about that. But you can go ahead and take the time outside of that where you want to see big results in some area. Track your activities, and you'll see where your core ones are and where you're wasting time, and then you can funnel your energy into those core ones and just watch what happens. It's like a satellite dish. It just will bring you big results when you put this into play. So try it for at least 3 days. I recommend like a week or more, but 3 days is enough to even get your brain identifying where you're wasting time and identifying your core activities. So I hope this helps with building a muscle mindset for yourself, and stay tuned in for more. Thanks for following my channel. And if you haven't, go ahead and hit the like if you did like this. If you don't like it, go ahead and hit the dislike. I don't really give a shit, but hit the like if you liked it. Subscribe if you want to follow this channel, and then the bell notification, all that fun stuff. Hope this helps with your mindset. Have a good one.